All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Talking some hoops. My man Rio coming back from the live final. 14th place, 60,000 Rio. Come on, man. You can't complain about that one bit. Awesome showing there. Could have been a little better if Bruce Brown hit that at the end. Was a fun sweat. Awesome stuff. Excited to have you back. 4 games on tap. A light Tuesday. Really easy, though, for the terms of you want to spend time with the family or do something in life. 2 games at 7:30, 30 minutes later, lock time. 1 game at 8, so 3 games, 3/4 the slate, done within 30 minutes. Then you wait till 10 Eastern, 1 late game. That's all she wrote. Injury news, not bad at all. Miami stuff is really all we're waiting on. First game of the night, so we should get all the injury news as well. Broad slate overview to make it really quick before I throw it to you. 2 main guys out on the slate, LeBron, Brandon Ingram, Pelicans, Lakers. That's kind of how I see it right now. We'll find some gems in between. Bringing you in. How you doing, my man, on this Tuesday afternoon?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Was definitely a fun weekend being out there in Arizona. Got to hang out with you on Saturday, sweat along the games. Yeah, pretty happy with my showing. Definitely could have used that overtime, but pretty not too bad for just having a single bullet. Nice to get back there back-to-back years. So next year we'll definitely look to have a little bit more SHIPIT representation. Hopefully I'll get more than one, and we get some other guys out there too. But yeah, I mean, this is a nice, easy slate today. Definitely getting us prepared for the big one tomorrow. Probably going to go pretty long on the show tomorrow and have a lot to talk about with it being a 10-game slate, and we got the Millie Maker tomorrow. So definitely getting those cues if you want to participate in that one. But yeah, I mean, this is an interesting slate because you have so many good stud spend-ups tonight that you want to play, like Luka all the way down to Anthony Davis. All look really good, the Giannis and Sabonis's. But on a 4-game slate, kind of hard to get to multiple of those guys without having some good cheap value. So, yeah, we'll have to see what happens in this Miami Golden State game. Maybe we can get some value opening up there. But might just be a one stud spend up type of night and then play in the mid tier mostly. Yeah,
great initial breakdown for sure. That's exactly how I see it. I think people, AD is the most popular spend because obviously no LeBron. 10-3, you get the discount off the Giannis's, Luka's. The value isn't great right now, and it doesn't look like it'll get too much better. Maybe some of the Miami stuff, I still don't think it'd make it like a 2-star night by any means. Then you have like the D-Russ, the Reeves. Yeah, I guess mainly those 2 in the mid-tier without Ingram, without BI. On the other side, Zion's interesting. Sorry about that. On the other side, but without LeBron, D-Russ, Reeves. I mean, AD, Reeves, and D-Russ could be the 3 most popular plays on the slate probably is how I see it. You see it that way right now?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll get there. We'll touch on the Miami game to start. Got to say hi to people in chat, though. Jasmine's in here. What's going on? It was fun hanging out with you. I got to get you that hat Rio has on his head right now. Jordan's in here. Lyle, Marquis, William, Josie Girl, Jake, Danny, Eddie. All you grinders out here, 56 watching live in March, end of March, NBA DFS, Tuesday. Love it. The real grinders just like us, Rio. Try and help them make some money tonight. Like button, always appreciated. If you want to head over to the nation and subscribe, golf, MMA, NBA, of course, MLB starting in a couple of days, NASCAR, use that promo code HOOP15, gets you 15% off any package, weekly, monthly, 6-month, or annual. Let's get first game of the night, Rio. Let's just get right to that Miami game. Again, 2 games at 7:30, 1 at 8, 1 at 10. All the news in this Miami game, Warriors, Heat, 217 total. Warriors 2.5-point favorites. On the Miami side, Jaquez, Caleb Martin, Kevin Love, all questionable. And then Duncan Robinson's out. Obviously, Hero's still out, etc. Another important injury news, I guess, Trace Jackson Davis. On this slate, it means a little bit. I'll throw it to you. I think Jimmy Butler is a very strong play in the mid-tier that people will also be going to at 8K. This game's going to be relatively low owned, though. If Trace Jackson Davis plays, I think he's interesting. Centers, I mean, Larry Nance and Joe Val today, but it's not really a very strong position. is how I see it outside of those two, which are two strong plays. I think Trayce Jackson-Davis would be interesting, though, if he is in. Throw it to you in this one. How many pieces are too many? What do you see?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you definitely have interest in both Bam and Jimmy tonight. I do prefer Jimmy just for positional stuff because there's some pretty strong center options tonight, some spend downs at the center position that I don't want to really get stuck with Bam at 8.3K, but he has been playing much better. Matchup is not the best, but it's not the worst. But yeah, it's really just those two as spend ups on the Heat side of things because I want to wait and see who is even in play in terms of the secondary guys with all these Q tags. Really just Jaquez, Martin, and Love are the big ones because if multiple of those guys are out, then I think that Haywood Highsmith and Patty Mills do come into play as value options tonight and definitely could open some things up with them being in the 3Ks. But just don't have a strong lean on these injury news because K Love has been out for a couple of weeks now, so this is an upgrade to his injury designation. So not too sure about his status tonight. Then Jaquez missed the last game after getting ruled out early the game before that. So I mean, there's a good chance both of them miss. If they do miss, then like I said, Highsmith and Patty Mills are the guys that I'm looking to go to. Just because the matchup wise is better for those two guys. The Warriors been pretty bad defensively in this month. Bottom 10 defensive rated team, giving up the third most 3-pointers per game. So definitely be looking at the guys that can shoot. And Patty Mills, Eric Spoelstra has said that they want him taking a lot of 3-pointers. So I think that he'd be pretty interesting at 3.5K. And then on the Warriors side of things, the Trayce Jackson-Davis news, I guess, does a little bit, not too much in terms of value on the Warriors side of things. I think that you'd probably get a mixture of Dario Saric and Kevon Looney back into the rotation, but I don't think that it'd really be enough for those guys to be in play. I would probably prefer Saric just because we know that he's been pretty solid fantasy point per minute producer at points this season. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of a sneaky good spot for these guys as well, mainly the shooters, because we talk about it, the way that the Heat play defense, they run zone at the highest frequency in the league this season. So that definitely, shores up the interior defense. They've been one of the best rim defense all season long with Bam down low, but giving up more catch and shoot stuff. So the guys that shoot like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are the two guys that I have the most interest in. And I mean, Steph looks pretty solid at 8.6K. The price tag super low for him. Steve Kerr did say they wanted to kind of monitor his minutes, but at this point, I don't really think that you can. The Warriors are at a place right now in the standings where they need to pretty much win every single game, and they have a pretty tough schedule coming up too, so they can't afford to drop any games. They got a back-to-back for them, so they got Orlando tomorrow. So, I mean, you're going against two really tough defenses. I think you just kind of you got to get at least one of these games. So I don't really think that they can afford to cut back Curry's minutes just with the Rockets kind of creeping up on them in the standings. So, yeah, I think Curry has pretty good upside here as a 3-point shooter. And then, I already mentioned that Klay. Klay is second in the league in catch and shoot stuff this season, so I really like him. And then Draymond would get more of a minutes boost if Trayce Jackson-Davis misses. But he's already kind of around 32 to 34 minutes in the last week or so. So I think he's pretty solid, even though the matchup is not great against Bam. He's got the rebound and assist floor to kind of help him get there from a fantasy perspective.
Good breakdown for sure. I mean, are you putting a cap at how many Heat or how many Warriors? This game definitely, it doesn't stand out to me. I know I at least want 2 Lakers. I know I at least probably want 2 Pelicans. I guess everything after that is kind of up in the air, but way better total and game environment for Dallas, Sacramento. Are you going to max anything, or would you be fine if you got 3 Warriors or something like that?
Haven't really thought through the groupings or anything like that, but I doubt that it'd be really hard to get more than 2 guys from either side just with the way that the projections go. So I don't think that I'm really going to make a hard rule. I'll just kind of give Curry and Klay just the guys that I like boost in this game, but I don't think that I'm going to really make a very strong rule on this one just because the slate is so small that if I somehow land on a team in MME where I have a mini game stack or 4 to 6 pieces in this game and it just so happens to stay close, I would be okay with it. But yeah, I'm not making a super hard rule on this one.
Yeah, makes some sense. I think this, I was going to say Jovic, if both Jaquez and Martin sit, I think would probably be solid. And then what are your thoughts? If Jaquez sits, Martin, and if Jaquez sits, Martin's in, I think Martin's interesting, and vice versa. for Hawkes, both in that same price range. I think I'd rather Caleb Martin if I had to choose, like Hawkes be out, Caleb Martin be in. I don't know, but you'd be good with that if the other one was out?
Yeah, definitely would. I'd like Caleb Martin for sure if Hawkes misses. I think that he's a pretty strong value. I think that Caleb Martin's going to play because he did play against Cleveland. He's kind of been dealing with the same injury for a little bit, but he hasn't really missed much time. So I think that he's probably the most likely to play. But yeah, I would like Martin if Hawkes misses.
Yeah, and then your Haywood if both of them miss or something like that. We'll get that Miami news again. Projections obviously will be updated, and definitely starting lineups. The starters should be Terry, Patty, Jimmy, Jovic. So we should know that. But if somehow Love, Hawkes, Caleb all miss, three of the better bench guys, I guess last thing on that, Thomas Bryant. Would you be any interested in backup 5, or Bam's going to play enough that you don't think you got to go there? 3.6K.
No, I don't think I would go there. There was one value piece that I did forget to mention, and DeLon Wright, he played 30 minutes against Cleveland last game, 22 against New Orleans the game before that. Been kind of getting talked up by Eric Spoelstra a lot lately too. I think that they really value the defense that he brings, and I mean this could kind of be a spot where it makes sense to get him some more minutes for the on-ball defense on Steph Curry. So I don't think that he's like the craziest option, but like the high end for him with this current iteration of the team is like 15 to 17 points, I would say. I mean, that might be enough on the slate, but yeah, I think that DeLon Wright is kind of in play as a value.
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy. Like if Patty just pods, if he's just too big for Patty's not going to be chasing around Steph and they want to go DeLon for more size. I don't think that's crazy. So yeah, I mean, he'll be really low. And I probably want at least one of those guys to be out though to feel more secure for sure. Yeah, well, that's definitely plenty of time on the Warriors Heat. If this was a 10-game slate, we would have talked probably 5 seconds on that game, at least myself. So 4 games, though. This next one, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Before we go there, actually, what's going on, Maul? What's going on, Phil? Romy in here as well. Marley needs some UFC 300 tickets. Yes, sir. What's going on, Big Marley? Him and I are going to be talking some UFC tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Smash that like, Nate D says. We appreciate that. Paraby's in here. Rui season. Hey, we'll get to this game right here. We'll see if Rio thinks it's Rui season. Los Angeles Lakers, Milwaukee Bucks, 233 total. Bucks, 9.5-point favorites. Injury news on the Lakers side. No LeBron, obviously huge news. And that's why AD, D-Russ, Reeves will be 3 of the most popular plays on the slate. As far as the Bucks, no Pat Bev today. He is out. Beauchamp questionable, which means absolutely nothing. I'll throw it to you again. As far as the Bucks side, they're not really getting ownership, I don't think. I think it's all going the Reeves, D-Russ, AD. Actually, I'll take that back. Pat Con's getting some, I think, is a punt. I'm curious to see what you say about that. No Pat Bev, 3.3K. I think some might go down there. Guard forward eligibility if they just want to jam a Giannis, jam a Luka, jam a something. Value's not great on the slate. Like if you give me 15 for Pat Con, it can make enough work. There's enough spend ups. Cam Reddish is down there in that same boat, I guess, at 3.2. I'm going to throw it to you on this note, actually. Would you consider, if you want the Lukas, if you want Giannis, contrarian spends to an extent, like Giannis will probably be half of what AD is. You might need a drop from like a 4-4 guy, a Torian Prince to a Cam Reddish or something like that. Alvarado's a strong play, but like maybe an Alvarado down to one of these guys. Is that something you could stomach to get an ownership discount? And do you see value in this game like a Pat Con, Beasley, Torian Prince, Cam Reddish, etc.? Then take it away from there.
Yeah, I'll start with the value point that you mentioned because I do think that it is pretty viable tonight to drop down to like a Pat Con or Cam Reddish. I mean, you know kind of what to expect from these guys. I think that Pat Connaughton is definitely more safe from a fantasy perspective, probably has a much better ceiling as well. We've seen him be a decent shooter at times, and the matchup is really good for shooters. But yeah, I mean, I think that like 14 to 15 out of some of these guys down low could definitely, if that gets you what you need, 2 spend ups, I would be totally okay with that because I do think that the spend ups are really, really good tonight. So I would be okay with Pat Con. Definitely prefer him to Reddish. But yeah, I mean, this is probably this game and then the last game of the night, the best game environments on the slate. I mean, the Bucks, they had kind of turned it around a little bit defensively, but this past month they've been really bad. Both these teams, bottom 5 and bottom 6 in defensive rating. The Lakers giving up a lot of points at the rim. They've always been a really bad 3-point defense, really bad in transition as well. But their bottom 9 rim defense this month, bottom 7 3-point defense, bottom 5 catch and shoot defense on the season, and then bottom 5 in transition. And then the Bucks, bottom 6 in defensive rating, but they're top 2 rim defense, but the second worst team in first in rim defense, second worst team against 3-point shooters. And then they've also obviously been one of the worst pick and roll teams all season long, bottom 2 in the league in pick and roll. I think that obviously you're going to have interest in these Lakers guys. Anthony Davis obviously going to be a huge focal point tonight for the offense with LeBron out in a really large sample size this season, 600 plus minutes without LeBron on the court. AD has a nearly 31% usage rate, 16% assist percentage, 20.5 rebounding rate, averaging right around 56 DK points per 36 minutes. And he's also averaging 56.4 points per game, DK points per game with in 9 games without LeBron this season. So I really like him as a spend-up option. Not a hot take at all there. I think he's probably the best point per dollar spend-up on the slate. As far as the D'Lo and Reeves go, I just don't see how the ownership should even be close. D'Angelo Russell is clearly the better play, in my opinion. We even saw last game that LeBron James missed was against the Bucks, and he went for 70 against them. I'm not saying that he's going to do that again, but Austin Reeves doesn't have that same upside as D'Angelo Russell. He's averaging almost 50 points a game without LeBron this season, 44.83 DK points per 36. He's a pretty big usage bump as well, 3.4% up to 26.6% on the season. Has a massive assist percentage as well, almost 40%. So I just think that he's clearly the better play between him and Reeves. I'm not making a rule to be max one of those two, but I don't think that I want 3 of Anthony Davis, D'Lo, and Reeves. I definitely want exposure to all 3 of them, but D'Lo and Reeves are D'Lo and Anthony Davis clearly the better options tonight. And then Rui, I think, is pretty solid as a spend down option, 5.6K, pretty good matchup for 3-point shooters as well. He's been shooting the ball pretty well lately. I just don't really know. He's only really shown upside once this season without LeBron, and that was a game against Utah, which anybody could score against. It's a little bit different against the Bucks. But yeah, he's pretty fine at 4.6K. We did see Spencer Dinwiddie get the start for LeBron in the same game against the Bucks. I'm not sure if they can go there this time because Middleton wasn't playing in that one, so they're definitely a lot bigger as a lineup with Middleton in there, so it would make more sense to me to go to Prince. But I think that Spencer Dinwiddie definitely going to be out there for probably around 30 minutes tonight. And he's actually been playing pretty good defense as of late, so kind of makes sense for some on-ball defense on Damian Lillard and Chris Middleton a little bit. So I think that he's pretty solid as a spend down, 4.6. Prince has been pretty good in games without LeBron this season, averaging almost 23 points a game, but he's just got really big downside, a little bit of upside as a shooter, but just, I don't know. Taurean Prince is not the best offensive weapon. And then, you mentioned Cam Reddish. I think that he's okay to keep in your player pool at 3.2K, should see around 20 minutes. On the Bucks side of things, though, Giannis, really good spend up tonight. Kind of seen hasn't really seen much of a usage hit with Middleton in the lineup, but the assist numbers are coming down a little bit with Middleton getting healthier. Still showed 60-point upside in games alongside Chris Middleton. Still leads the team in usage in the 3 games that Middleton has played, and then put up 76 in the same matchup earlier this season. Lakers definitely struggling with their interior defense right now, so I think that Giannis, really good spend-up option. I love the matchup for Dame tonight. Just this game environment really suits his style of play a lot. Really good pick-and-roll scorer. Lakers are bottom 8 against pick-and-roll guys, bottom 7 3-point defense this month, bottom 2 in DVP versus point guards over the last 7 games. Dame really hasn't seen much of a usage rates hit at all with Middleton on the court either, so he's kind of unaffected. Still think that he's got a really big upside. And then Chris Middleton's been really good in his return to the lineup, 25, 33, 27 minutes in 3 games since returning, and it has DK scores of 38.25, 41.5, and 43. Leading the team in assist percentage over the last 3 games, got a triple-double last game. Think that the minutes could slowly start to creep up in the 30s here, and really like the matchup for him against a team that just bleeds 3-pointers to opposing teams. And then I'm not really looking to get to like these secondary guys. I think that Portis kind of always has big upside off the bench, but don't think that this is the matchup for him against Anthony Davis. Could see him really getting bullied. if he has to guard Anthony Davis. I think they'd probably lean into Brook Lopez a little bit more in this one. Malik Beasley, solid matchup for three-point shooters as well. 4.7K, pretty good price tag for him with a little bit of upside. That's pretty much it. You mentioned Pat Con already.
With a little bit of revenge, as Josie's talking for Malik Beasley. I agree. I shouldn't say hate. I don't like Bobby. Brook, though, I was thinking the same thing as you. I mean, man, has he been bad. Clicking the game logs, really tough. It's a pivot from Joval Chalk right now. When we get to Joval Chalk, like, I do not like that one bit. I like the Larry Nance side a lot more. But 500 more, I think they'll need a couple more minutes. His size against AD, if he makes a couple threes, I don't know. I think it's fine. I love Giannis, man. 11-3, the power forward eligibility. You can find the 1K off of AD, half the ownership. I mean, I think he absolutely dominates in this matchup. And really good point by John. I haven't really seen John in chat much. What's going on, man? Looking sharp in that picture. Shooting guard's awful. Like, that is why that even Pat Con at shooting guard is a full punt. Like, Reeves is definitely getting a lot of ownership because LeBron's out. But 7K, still not like Reeves is a slam dunk. If he was small forward eligibility or something like that, like, I don't think Reeves is a great play. At shooting guard, though, shooting guard's so bad. So I do like full punting to a Radish, to a Pat Con. I still like Reeves. I mean, I prefer D'Lo for sure. But that positional scarcity, that's a very good point you made. I like the AD. Yeah, I like going. If you can get like a Giannis, Reeves, D-Russ, and not go AD, I think that'd be my best way, my favorite way to attack it. But I like K-Mid too. His rebounding rate, his assists. I mean, man, he's playing really good ball right now at 6'7". Fits that mid-tier build as well. I like that price tag. And I do like Rui. I'm always a sucker for Rui. But, man, when LeBron's out or AD's out, it feels like when he gets the minutes, he's just so much more aggressive. They're going to need his scoring in this game. I always like him, and he's going to be a contrarian option at 5'6", so I do like the Rui chalk as well. Yeah, Joval chalk. I mean, we'll get to that game. Let's get there right now, actually. Appreciate that like button, everyone out there. If you haven't hit it, do us a favor, hit it right now. 137 watching live in March 26, 4-game NBA slate. DFS is still alive. You do love to see it. Third game of the slate, 8 p.m. Eastern. OKC Thunder, New Orleans Pelicans, 223.5 total. OKC 1-point favorites. No injury news on the OKC side. Pelicans, Brandon Ingram's out. Will be out for a couple weeks. And that is the only injury news in this one. All right, I'll throw it to you in this. Obviously, Zion looks to be getting a little bit of ownership. Looks like a strong play at 9K. I still don't know how much. Like, I really like Giannis in this spot. I like the ADs in this spot. 9K is close enough. I'm curious to hear what you say, but my lean right now is to get one of those two if I had to choose. I don't love CJ as much as 7-3, but talk to me why Joval, Larry Nance and Joval are getting some ownership. Center's not great by any means. Kind of fits that mid-tier build. I think it's mainly just projections don't really know how to project without Ingram. You give Joval some usage, but his minutes are capped, man. If he's not efficient in those 20 minutes, 18 minutes, I don't know. It's not chalk I want to eat. So I'll throw it to you on that note. Start with them. Jose Alvarado looks chalky. I'm fine with that on this slate at 4-1. I like Larry Nance at 4-2, but start with Joval for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a mute. I don't see how you can comfortably click his name right now. I mean, just the positional scarcity too. Center is always a spot where you need for sure things from like a value standpoint. And I mean, he's just, I don't know. There's multiple times this season where he's playing so bad in the first half that they bench him in the second half for Larry Nance. I mean, I could definitely see that happening here in a fast-paced matchup against OKC, who definitely likes to run out transition. I can't do it on Joval. He couldn't get there in a matchup where he didn't have his backup center against the Portland Trailblazers, who are one of the worst teams versus centers. So I don't think that it's happening in a game against OKC. The only thing that I'll say that he does have going for him here is that OKC been a team that struggled on the rebounding side of things, giving up a ton of points. I believe the most points in the league off offensive rebounds. So if there was ever an upside case to be made, it's probably that one. But yeah, I agree with you. I'd rather just save 700 and get down to Larry Nance. Definitely going to be a max one of those two guys. But I'll definitely be under on Joval tonight. I just don't see it happening for him. I mean, the only thing that's kind of keeping these guys in play for me, because I don't love this game as a whole. I like the Pelican side a little bit more than the OKC side, but I mean, it's a 1-point spread. I guess the game is pretty big in terms of the standings. Pelicans and OKC, two of the top teams in the West. I mean, it's like maybe you're just hoping the game gets to overtime. You get, an extra 5 to 10 minutes out of some of these guys, but I'm not really looking to spend 10-2 on Shai Gilgeous when there's so many better options beneath him at point guard and above him at the different positions. I mean, he's scored pretty well against Herb in his career, but we don't really care about, actual points. We care about fantasy points. He has not scored more than, sorry, I have this written down somewhere. He's been held below 55 DraftKings points in every single meeting against Herb Jones in their career, and except for one game where he went for 73.5, and that was a game he played 43 minutes, so more than likely an overtime game. He hasn't topped more than 49 points in 2 games versus New Orleans this season. So, yeah, I think that SJ is kind of just definitely the worst of the spend-up options tonight, probably just an X out for me. I think that Chet would be my preferred option, though, at 7.5K. He's been pretty good against the Pelicans this season, 44.8 and 42.8 DraftKings points in the 2 meetings. Been playing pretty well lately outside of the bad game last time out against Milwaukee, where only put up 10 DraftKings points. But, I mean, before that, 40 against Toronto, 65 against Utah, 48 against Memphis. I mean, those matchups are a little bit better than this one is, but I still think that he's pretty solid at 7.8K. I don't really like this type of game for Jalen Williams. Like him more in fast-paced games where he can beat up against weak rim defenses. Doesn't really have that here against New Orleans, so I think that won't really have too much of him. And I'm really just considering the big 3. I think that Lou Dort is he fits some builds just with the small forward eligibility, 4.2K. Pelicans a little bit worse against catch-and-shoot guys. So I guess there's a little bit of upside there for him from a scoring standpoint. But you're never really too excited about playing Lou Dort. And then, I like Zion tonight, 9K. Not sure how he fares against all the other spend-ups around him, though. But really solid role for Zion. Talk about it all the time. But over the last 2 games, which is, since Brandon Ingram has missed, he's second on the team in usage, second in touch time. He has the 5th most drives per game this month. And OKC's interior defense kind of struggling a little bit this month as well. Definitely going to have a much larger role moving forward as long as Brandon Ingram is out. And he showed really big upside. The past couple of games had a couple of 50s in there. I don't know if he really has like the 60s in there, which we kind of need at 9K, but small slate, raw points matter the most, and he seems pretty safe to get you 45 to 50. Good matchup for CJ as well. Been shooting the ball really well lately. Has made 3 or more threes in 5 straight games. There's a couple of games where he's got 6 and 7 in there. OKC bottom 5 3-point defense, bottom 5 catch and shoot defense. He's looking to take on a much bigger role as well, leading the team in usage and touch time since Brandon Ingram has gone down. So he looks pretty solid, 7.3K. Not sure that I can get there over D'Angelo Russell, though. And then Trey Murphy.
Only eligibility is tough. Like that would be so nice, but his ownership would go up too. But, it's a pivot right there from the Reeves, the D-Russ, but mainly D-Russ because of the position. Yeah.
Trey Murphy, I really like, though, 6.4K, even at a little bit of ownership, but he's just got huge upside if the shot is falling. I mean, even last game against Detroit, he shot 1 for 12 from the field and still put up 30.5 DK points. A lot of that was due to, he had 5 or 6 stocks, I think, something like that. But I mean, he's had games recently where he lights it up from deep, and he has the 45 to 50 point upside, very similar to a Malik Monk type of player, even though he's starting now. So I like him a lot at 6.4K. And then Najee Marshall and Jose Alvarado, 2 guys that I'm considering as value options tonight. Najee's he's kind of picked it up in a big way. Last couple of games, played 23 and 24 minutes, 25 and 30 DraftKings points. I mean, he's pretty consistent, I would say. So I think that he might be one of the better values on the slate, even though the projections probably aren't agreeing with me. I think I like him a good bit, and I would much rather spend down at the small forward, power forward spot than a point guard spot personally. So I probably have more Najee than I do Jose Alvarado.
Hey, that's definitely will be a little contrarian. I like that for sure. Small forward, power forward eligibility, pretty much the same price. I really like the Trey Murphy shout. I really like Chet, kind of in that mid-tier stuff. If you don't, I mean, it's kind of harder to get in the Giannis builds, but I guess you could go Giannis in one of them or something. But I think you can even go, if you fade the whole 10K and above, which means AD and up. There's enough guys. I mean, even in this game, if you wanted to go Zion, a Chet, then you can go Jimmy, the Lakers guys, the D-Russ, Reeves. Like the value isn't great. When we're talking Pat Con, even Najee Marshall, some of these guys, like that shows Lou Dort. And like, yeah, Lou Dort's going to get some ownership. My favorite plays in this game. I like Larry Nance a lot. Hate Joe Val. Love Trey Murphy. I like your Chet call. And yeah, I like Zion more than CJ, even for the price if I played him. I just feel like the upside's a little higher, but I know you do like CJ, and he is a pivot off of him. Okay. Luka now Q.
Yeah.
Downgraded to questionable. That's what chat's saying. I haven't got it yet, though. Mine's always delayed.
Underdog just posted it.
Remember just when I was by yours popped up, and then mine was delayed a couple seconds. What's going on? Yeah, that definitely changes stuff. Yeah, you can play CJ and Murphy together. I don't see any reason you can't. If you had to pick, which game do you like more, this game or Warriors Miami? Because the Lakers Milwaukee game and Dallas Sacramento feels way better, and especially if there's no Luka, like it's going to be 3 teams pretty much. What game would you choose though? This game or Miami?
I'd probably say this one, just because with this being a back-to-back for the Warriors, even though they are favored, I think that if the game does get at all out of hands, this could be a game that they just punt off and then play for tomorrow, because they definitely want to split one of these 2 games coming up. And this game definitely means a lot more in terms of the Western Conference standings for both of these teams, OKC and New Orleans being pretty close in the standings right now. So yeah, probably this one a little bit more.
All right. Yeah. Let's get into this last game. I mean, man, so Luka, I still didn't even get it popping up. I'm getting this Jokic. I'm getting this Michael Porter, getting Cordero Patterson. All right, there it is. 2 minutes ago, Achilles. I mean, yeah. Dallas, Sacramento, 2. Oh, they took all the props down. That makes a lot of sense. What was the total in this one? Like 235 or something, I want to say. Very close spread. Kings were 1-point favorites. Man, this has to mean what? You think Luka probably doesn't play now? I mean, you just don't randomly get downgraded. What's your initial thoughts? But it makes it – I don't think you can click Luka's name anymore. As the last game on an island, you really don't have pivots. Like, you need to find a Sabonis. Maybe if like a Sabonis, Fox, Monk, Luka, 2v2, that maybe eyeballing it. You need some 2v2. It'd have to be that. I don't like it. I think there's enough of Giannis, AD, all these other guys. I wouldn't go the Luka boat. Now, I think Kyrie's the more interesting situation. He should probably be a part of your 2v2, actually, talking out loud if you are doing a Luka thing. But plugging in a spot for Kyrie, 9-3, I don't love it. I don't love having Kyrie in my lineup if Luka plays at 9-3, no doubt about that. You could pivot to Fox, though, $500 less, so I do think it's a strong play. But if there's no Luka, Kyrie does look good. And this game, yeah, like Sabonis is a spend. He's going to be low owned at center. There's Fox, Malik Monk, shooting guard right there. Talking shooting guard, I think Monk is a very interesting pivot in this game. Yeah, I'll throw it to you on this note. But, man, I guess start with Luka, downgraded to questionable with an Achilles. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, never good. Obviously, you get the midday downgrade, but this game it means way too much for the standings. I have a very tough time seeing him sit here because – yeah, this is a really big game. I believe these teams are tied in the standings, but I know the Kings are 2-0 in the season series versus Denver this season. Yeah, these teams are tied at 6 and 7. So you definitely want to get out of the 7th spot if you're the Mavericks. They do play another time later this week, I believe. So I think that I think he has to play. This game just means too much.
Why did teams do that? Like, they know what they're doing with Luka, like, right? Like, he didn't just hurt his Achilles during the day. Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't know. He played a lot of minutes last night. Obviously, been playing a ton lately, so I think that it's probably a true Q tag. Probably is pretty sore, but I don't know. I think that he probably guts it out. Definitely gonna need to get creative in terms of the roster construction. But I mean, I think that this is like the game that you'd want to stack up if you were to stack one of these 4 games. So like, having 3 to 4 guys, probably 3 guys, I'd say, like a Luka, Gafford, Keegan, or something like that, and then that'd give you a lot of flexibility to go down to Sabonis, probably get to like Malik Monk and Kyrie or something like that. Yeah, just thinking through because I haven't done obviously like the math on the pricing for it, but this is easily probably the best game environment on the slate. Two teams that play fast, two teams that have certain areas that they struggle with defensively. Kings a little bit more versus 3-point shooters. Dallas kind of all over the place at times, but yeah, I just have a tough time seeing Luka sit. But yeah, you gotta have a 2v2 to 3v3 in mind if you're building for that. Yeah, I don't know. That throws a wrench into things because was not expecting to get the midday Q tag, but obviously if he
Just
sits,
touch on if you think he's in. I mean, I guess you can do if he sits too, but I mean, at this point, you have to really say like, all right, what are you going to do with your rosters? Like, if he sits, if you don't build, like, you might have no spots left to like switch. You might only have 2 spots. Like right now, for me, I think there's enough other spots on the slate. Like, even if it's Kyrie without Luka, he's 9.3K. Like, Zion's 9K, Jimmy's 8K, Reeves, Russ. There's Giannis, there's Luka. Like, there's enough other things. Like at this point, especially you lean he's going to play, but you think true game time. I maybe just make the 2v2s if it comes out nicely, which one of these probably does, but I just don't think it's worth messing. Even Kyrie or Luka, because I really don't want to play Kyrie if Luka's in. I guess I would just go Fox and leave 500 and be fine with it. But yeah, I guess you can go any which way on how you want to break this down. Sorry, I don't know what you should do because it's 2 hours after lock. Like,
yeah,
I'm probably not going to have 5 spots left. I like the Pelican stuff. I like the Lakers stuff. I'm not going to throw it away and just hope. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I probably agree with you. If you just start your lineups, if you don't really want to get super deep into it, starting with Kyrie, and then, I mean, I already like Fox a good bit tonight, so like I'd be fine leaving 500 left over and just getting the 1v1 pivot right there. So that'd probably be the way to do it. You definitely would want Kyrie in either the point guard, or util spot. Can't have him in shooting guard. Definitely got to keep that in mind because you'd be. I mean, I guess you'd still be okay if you landed on Kyrie and Luka's in, but would definitely much prefer the Fox side of things if Luka is in.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess we just go through the scenarios if he's out because it's pretty straightforward. We know what to expect. You're going to see a lot of Tim Hardaway Jr. He'd be probably the best value on the slate at 4.4K. I think PJ Washington would probably project pretty good. I wouldn't really go out of my way to play him. Obviously, Kyrie is crushed without Luka this season, so he'd be one of the best spend ups. Exum would get in there for some good minutes. Hardy at 3.7K. I'm not too sure how many he would realistically play, but really it'd be Hardaway Jr., Dante, and Kyrie the ones that benefit the most.
Any of those, like you don't want to play any of them if Luka's in, but I guess would you be fine with like a Harrison Barnes? Hardaway's 4.4, Barnes 4.5, both have small forward eligible, like forward. Would you be fine with that? Like just making sure you have 100 there or something? Because Hardaway would be a fun play if Luka's out, and I guess Barnes isn't the worst thing. So talking through it, I think that'd make a little sense too.
Yeah, or even if you had Tim Hardaway at shooting guard as well. I like the Keon Ellis pivot is also there.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some pivots to make if you're building for Luka out because Tim Hardaway. I mean, he'd have huge upside if Luka does get ruled out post lock and probably would be extremely low.
Has to be. Yep. I don't mind that pivot. Granted, I don't like clicking Harrison Barnes, but on this slate, man, 19 from Barnes could be enough.
Yeah. I mean, even like Tim Hardaway Jr. kind of turned it around last game too against Utah. Played 29 minutes, shot 5 for 14, 3 of 9 from deep. He's still kind of out there for low, I would say upper teens to maybe 20 minutes a night if the shot's falling. So if you're kind of left with him, I don't think that you're dead necessarily, but obviously you definitely would want Luka to be out in that scenario. I think that's kind of all I have to say about the Dallas side of things. I do expect Luka to play tonight, but yeah, if he's out, those are the guys you're looking to. And then
Gafford, I don't know if you mentioned him. I think he's a solid play at center. I might have missed it though. Yeah,
I forgot to mention that. I do like him a lot tonight. He's been really playing good lately. 49, 41.8, and 41.8. 3 of his last 5 games. I don't know exactly how much of his upside is tied to Luka being there because they do have a really good pick and roll game. He is 6K now. I guess the OKC game was the one that he played without Luka. So still has some standalone value with the rebounding upside. But there is a little bit of foul risk for him going up against Sabonis. I think that they might actually put PJ Washington on Sabonis and they just have Gafford kind of play off ball a little bit. Yeah. So he's probably pretty safe from a foul risk standpoint. But yeah, he's pretty solid, 6K, just showing really big upside lately. Yeah, and then the king side of things, I think Sabonis is a great spend up. Not sure that I'm playing him over Anthony Davis though, but you could play both of them if you find a way to make it work with the value, because he is center eligible and Anthony Davis is power forward eligible now. He's had pretty good success against Dallas this season. I mean, he had one game where he went for 36, but then went for 58 in their first meeting. Kind of always been, Daniel Gafford been a person to attack with opposing centers, not the greatest defender. So yeah, I think that he's pretty solid, 10.5K. But yeah, I prefer De'Aaron Fox for the price discount. Just really like the upside for him. He's crushed and he scored 30 points in both matchups versus Dallas this season. He's averaging 53.6 in 2 games against Dallas this season as well. So he's definitely my preferred spend at $1,700 cheaper. Malik Monk, you already know what you're getting out of him. It's either 40 or mid 20s. Don't really have a strong take there. I think I just prefer to get to Keegan Murray, who's been playing a ton of minutes and playing really well lately. Going to need to stay out of foul trouble if Luka's out, but if Luka's not out, then you don't really have to worry about that too much. He should be pretty safe from a foul standpoint and from a minute standpoint. So I like him a little bit more than Malik Monk tonight. And then I wouldn't really be looking to get to like Keon Ellis or Harrison Barnes, but it's just the pivots if we're playing Tim Hardaway Jr., leave $100 left over and get to him or get to those guys if Luka does get rolled in.
Yeah, definitely would use them as pivots. I don't love them in a vacuum. What are your thoughts on how much? What are you going to do with Luka now? Assuming we're not going to get the news, 4:30 or 7:30 p.m. Eastern. What do you see yourself doing? Because you think he plays. I think this definitely scares a lot of people off. It wasn't even like Luka was coming in. Like most slates we've had recently, Luka was the chalk. Really not the case on this slate, even before this downgrade. So, I mean, you could be looking at single-digit Luka. I mean, and you think he plays. I mean, that's music to my ears if you do get it right. What do you think you personally are going to do with your MME stuff?
I'm probably going to have to make a rule saying if Luka, then at least one of all these other guys, I'll do a little bit of like the math stuff and see what pivots make sense. But probably like if Luka, at least one of Keegan Murray, Daniel Gafford, I guess like PJ Washington. I probably want like one of the mid-tier guys just because that gives you a little bit more flexibility, because then I could go down to – I mean, it makes more sense to get a center just because you can go like Sabonis and Monk or I guess like a power forward too. I don't know. Yeah, something like that where it has some of these mid-tier. Yeah, it's really tough.
So much easier if you're hand building. Like I don't know what I would do with an optimize because then you have to make sure your positions line up because you have shooting guard Kyrie and then the Fox point. Like it's tricky. But hand building, you're only doing a couple teams. It's not hard to do the math. And I think we made stuff like we'd be fine leaving the 500 Kyrie to Fox. There has to be some math that works flows with these Luka, Monk, Sabonis, Foxes, Barnes, Kyries, Gaffords. Like has to be something. So I would just do it. Again, maybe we do get the Luka news earlier. Definitely don't plan on that. All three of those games lock within 30 minutes of each other, but have a plan at the end of the day. And I think a very fine plan, kind of avoiding that situation or just doing one of the 1v1 pivots because enough Lakers stuff without LeBron, enough Pelicans stuff without BI, and a couple other spots. You mentioned some of the Miami game and stuff. So, and who knows, that Miami value, love Caleb Martin's, Hawkes, Trace Jackson Davis, like some other stuff could open up a little bit earlier. So, yeah,
I think I found a pretty good pivot. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, I mean, so Luka and Gafford, I think to make this work, you'd have to have Luka in the guard spot and Gafford in the center spot. That is 18,700 for two guys. So if you divide that by two, you're left with 9,300. So you can go with Kyrie and De'Aaron Fox and make that work.
I like that.
Yeah,
so we're good with Dante. We like Dante. We like Hardaway. $100 difference. point guard, shooting guard for Dante, shooting guard, small forward. So I'd lean into Hardaway, definitely. Yeah. But if somehow you just had the point guard or something, you needed to, I'd be fine with Exum too. And yeah, talked about that briefly, but I think that's totally viable. There's enough of those 9Ks, the D-Russ, the Reeves, the Jimmies, the Chets, like CJs. There's enough in that mid-tier, De'Aaron Fox of the world to definitely make it work. So especially if Kyrie or if Luka's out and it's Kyrie. Awesome stuff, man. 4 games, 45 minutes of ball, 45 minutes talking 4 games. Tomorrow, it's not going to be a 45-minute show, that's for sure. 10 games, $1 million up top. Rio slate plans up. Projections will be updated throughout the night. Of course, awesome community in Discord. A lot of these familiar faces also in Discord. Like Sean Sullivan, I saw you earlier getting back into running. I love to see that in the Discord all the time as well. Wins a lot in here. Go collect. Appreciate everyone hanging out as always. If you're not a member and you want to give us a try, multiple packages, weekly are cheapest. You get everything on the site, see what we got to offer, all the sports, no Discord. If you want the Discord, though, monthly, 6-month, annual, to make it even cheaper, already the cheapest in the industry, you can use that promo code HOOP15, gets you 15% off. If you are a member and you are playing NBA, definitely go check out that slate plan. Very in-depth from Rio. Well, showdown content tonight. Dallas, Sacramento. I mean, man, tons of crazy news now with this Lucas stuff. Rio will have you up to date on that. And, man, absolutely been a printer over there. I saw yesterday good stuff in the Showdown Street. 2 nights ago, I think you shipped as well. So make sure to check out that content. I'll be back tomorrow with Rio talking hoops, and I'll be talking some MMA with Big Marley. Rio, final words for the people.
No, it's basketball season slowly coming to an end. I think tomorrow is our last show of the season together.
Yes,
last live show. I'll definitely be doing some quick hits, but yeah, exciting times. Definitely excited about baseball coming up. Gonna have all of our guys taking care of all that stuff. But yeah, NBA has been a good season. Definitely looking forward to the final stretch here.
Absolutely. Sack up to 2.5. There you go. Props and lines are back open. And yes, awesome stuff, Rio. We'll talk a little bit about more tomorrow, but what an NBA year. You'll still have, that's going to be another reason. Get in the Discord, be a member at SHIPIT Nation. We'll still have our projections, slate plan, etc., all going throughout the playoffs, but these shows are going to turn into MLB shows starting Thursday, opening day. So tomorrow, Rio and I will be back. Last NBA show. Hopefully someone from SHIPIT wins that milli. Good luck, everybody, tonight. Let's see some SHIPIT Nation logos up top. Be safe. Good stuff, Rio. For Rio, I'm Titletown. Have a good one.